Hey guys, I'm Nathan with Seek Outside, and I'm going to show you how to seam seal one of our backpacks. This is actually an update to a video I did several years ago, and the reason for that update is I found a product that I think really does work better than the previous method that we advise people about, which the product that we used to use was either a seam grip with seal or just a pure silicone. And the product that I'm using now is this seam grip plus FC. That's a fast cure seam sealant, and it's a bottle with a brush on the top. It goes on a lot thinner. It dries clearer, so it's not as visible. I think it gives a better finished look. Most importantly, it has stretch, so when the seam expands on these packs, with pure silicone or regular seam grip, it can actually pull the seam sealant away from the seam and you get gaps in your protection. This helps alleviate some of that. So before I get too far into how to seam seal a pack bag, I want to set some expectations, and you can expect that these bags are very water resistant. They can become almost rainproof. But if you're on a rafting trip with very sensitive electronics or down sleeping bags, things of that nature, get a dry bag, a dedicated dry bag to store those items. This is one of our Spectra pack bags, and I actually got back from a caribou hunt in Alaska with this bag about a month ago, and we were in the rain for 12 hours or so on the first day. It was incredibly wet, blowing 20 to 30 miles an hour. And this Spectra fabric is actually our least waterproof fabric that we offer in pack bags. It measures at 1,500 millimeters of hydrostatic head, whereas X-Pack and some of the other fabrics we use isn't even measured in hydrostatic head. It's measured in PSI, so it's many times more waterproof. So if this fabric was going to wet out and leak, I feel like it would have in that situation, and it didn't. I seam sealed it using this new process I'm going to show you, and after 12 hours or so in the rain, I had a stuff sack down in the bottom of it, and the bottom side of that stuff sack was a little damp, and that was about all the water that got through. So I feel really good about the performance in rain of these, but again, if you've got sensitive items, down items, dedicated dry bag's probably a good idea. First key is to take the pack bag off with a suspension. Second key, I've got two large sleeping bags in here to get it stuffed and pretty tight. I want these seams exposed. I want the thread exposed because this seam sealer will actually soak into the thread. It doesn't take a tremendous amount, but again, you want this to soak into the thread. You can think of this just like shingling a house. So I've got a seam here, and that seam could grab water. So the uphill side of it, I definitely want to get sealer in there. And that downhill side, I want to get sealant to soak into the thread. Anywhere you have webbing coming out of a seam, try to get the sealant to soak into that webbing on both sides. You'll also have spots like where the logo patch is sewn on. Soak that thread and make sure you cover the uphill side underneath there a little bit. You can also open the pack bag up and cover this from the inside if you want. Another key to seam sealing our pack bags is edge binding. So you can see that we edge bind the insides of the pack bags on those seams, and we edge bind the outside of our talons. It is nearly impossible to put enough seam sealer on that edge binding to waterproof the seam. The key to seam sealing the pack bags is to seam seal the outside, the side away from the edge binding. Now the reverse is true on a base talon. So if you want to improve the water repellency of a base talon, you need to flip it inside out and seal the inside seam. The zippers that we're now using are very water resistant, but you do need to seam seal the edge stitching, and I like to get under that flat fill flap as much as I can. So both sides of the zipper, and again, anywhere you've got webbing coming out of a seam, try to get some seam sealer to soak in. I'm pretty happy with the way that this seam sealer looks after it dries. It does dry pretty clear, but if you over apply it, then you can get some spots that look like this. So it's a good idea to have a rag handy and wipe up any excess that you might have. Guys, some tricky areas that you need to pay attention to would be the insides of the bottle pockets. We have a web loop in there, so make sure you get that. Continue that seam all the way down inside the bottle pocket, as well as the outside. So that's fairly important. The bottom of the pack bag, if it's rainy, you will probably be setting the bottom of the pack bag in water, or wet ground at least. So make sure that you get it covered very well. Other than that, just follow all the seams. Try to siliconize the bottom edges of the webbing anywhere it comes out of a seam. Also remember to pay particular attention to any flat fell that could create a lip that could catch rainwater. Make sure you get the top edge of that. Beyond that, it's easiest to get the top of the shroud after you get the rest done. You can even let it dry overnight and do this in stages if you want to, but I do like to continue the seam sealing all the way up the shroud. Guys, I hope that you find this helpful. If you have any questions, you can leave those in the comments section below. Of course, you can always email our great customer service team at info@seakoutside.com. And you can find a lot of information on our website, including detailed instructions on how to do this. So you can head to our website, seakoutside.com, look at our backpacks, our tents, our wood stoves, and all of our other gear that can help you to seek outside.